Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abbie Ritchie, and I am the host of Tech Tuesday. You'll find me here every Tuesday interviewing thought leaders in tech innovation. When I'm not doing that, I am the CEO and founder of Senior Savvy, which relieves tech stress for older adults so they can excel in today's world. If you are new to the program, welcome. I also want to bring some awareness to Senior Living Foresight's conference that starts on April 5th, just next week. And that is the Evolve 2022 conference, which is presented by It's Never Too Late, as well as Care Center Stage, Pocketbook Memory, Fotavia, Quilt, Total Brain Health, and Serona TV. I'm going to go ahead and run my intro, and then we'll be back with today's special guest. Oh, it's always just so funny to see myself in an animated form. Well, today I want to go ahead and introduce my guest, Steve Ewell. He is the Executive Director at the Consumer Technology Association Foundation. And I want to go ahead and welcome him to the show. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Abbie. Really pleasure to be here and to join you and have a great conversation today.
Yeah, likewise. You know, I met Steve virtually on Clubhouse. So if any of you have been on and joined us on Clubhouse on Thursday mornings for the Rethinking Aging Club, you will most likely see Steve there and hear him speak about tech innovation. And so that's the first place that I became aware of him. So Steve, tell us, what is new in tech innovation?
That is quite a big story, and I feel like I could go on forever and ever, but there's some incredible work going on in tech innovation. And the Consumer Technology Association Foundation that I run, we're a charitable foundation focused on how technology can help both older adults and people with disabilities. But the association we're tied to runs a show called CES, which we like to call the global stage for innovation. It's a large tech trade show. And one of the big things we do as a foundation is trying to bring together some of the real innovations and create attention around the aging market, the disability market, and the opportunity for technology to make a difference in this space. So I could see or go into details on a whole lot of different areas, but from wearables to smart home to voice assistants, AI, transportation, vehicles, we can go on and on about the types of technologies. But what I see really most amazing is all these technologies are bringing us to the point where we can create that independence for individuals regardless of age or ability, and really the customization, so people have some control over their environment around them and can really work, live, and play in a whole lot of different ways using different types of technologies. And I look forward to diving into a whole lot of different issues with you.
I want to ask you something. So when you land on the floor at CES, what's the first thing you want to see, just out of your own curiosity?
Yeah, it's always competing. It's like picking my favorite child here or something along those lines. But
do it. We know you have one. Go right ahead.
Probably for me, it's the area of the show called Eureka Park, which is where all the startups are. So, for this year, we had over 800 startups from all over the world that were exhibiting there. And you see some incredible ideas. And, as with startups all over, some of these are, the companies that will be the next big businesses. Some of these, you may never hear from them again, but, just to be able to see some of the ideas and the fact that we have people coming from around the world with some of these new innovations, and chances are the people there at the booth they're the founder of the company, the designer of the products. So that's an opportunity to really engage. And we bring out representatives from the disability community and other key partners of ours to have those conversations, because when you can talk to those startups and say, hey, this could work really well for an older adult if you just made this little tweak or this little change, and chances are, being able to create that awareness about the potential market for them, as well as the opportunity, we've seen some really incredible opportunities come out of that. So, but yeah, I always wish I had more time to explore the four, because everything from, like this year, we had a space plane there, we had a color changing BMW, and all different types of tech across the show floor.
That's really cool. I kind of grew up in Silicon Valley on the outskirts of it, but I was there around the dot-com boom time, and it was so inspiring and exciting, and just truly a time of rethinking technology in many ways. And so I catch your contagion there when you start talking about the startups and the innovators. It's really cool. And I want to ask you, why tech? How did you get to where you are now? And what was the genesis of that?
Yeah, as to how I got here, it was certainly a winding path, as with a lot of people, but the tech, I'm a geek. I love technology. It started, early on. I got, as a kid, a Commodore 128, and just playing around with that computer, through the years, engaging with different types of, whether it's different types of computers, whether other types of technologies. I've just always really loved the opportunities that could come from different types of tech. And I've just really loved being able to play with it and see what, how you can break it and how you can do new things with it. So throughout my whole life, really, but certainly through my career, I've been. I was a political science major, so I came to DC after college, did one campaign, and decided I'd had enough politics, and went into the nonprofit world. But I've kind of gone back and forth between the technology and the nonprofit and giving back. And so when a recruiter came to me and said, Consumer Technology Association's creating a charitable foundation, and this opportunity to build a foundation within the trade association, I was like, okay, I got my tech, I got my giving back and doing good, and you combine those together, and I was like, all right, sign me up. How do I get that job? So and now it's hard to believe, but it's been 10 years that I've been doing this and building the foundation, and it's really been incredible. But yeah, it's really that opportunity to see the way technology can help people that's a driver for me.
Yes, me too. Me too. And in the past 2 years, so much has changed with technology. What has surprised you the most?
Yeah, technology is always changing, and that's kind of part of the fun of it. But it's interesting, especially working with all the nonprofit organizations that we work with and seeing them adjust to the change. Is I just remember being on lots of calls, March, April, May of 2020, of how do we take all these programs that have been operating in-person classes and activities, and how do we make them go virtual? And some organizations were down the road and had already experimented. Others were starting brand new and looking at, and maybe it wasn't the highest of tech, but the fact that we can be on video calls like this really made a big difference in how we've all been able to operate over the last few years. And then seeing over that time things like, the explosion of telehealth, which this has been an issue that we've been really interested in for years. But certainly the pandemic really drove that to the forefront, and looking beyond just your traditional telehealth visit to, telemental wellness and we've even talked to an organization about teledental work and other areas in that space. So really looking at the opportunities for those types of technologies. But now what we're seeing as we kind of I hope, emerge from this pandemic. But now we're looking at the organizations as they struggle to go into this hybrid workforce, where some of their people are coming back in person, others aren't ready to come back. So how do they continue to serve? And once again, technology plays a really incredible role in the fact that you can serve those two different audiences, provide them with their needs, but yet still manage some of the challenges that come with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on so many great things here, and most recent, you mentioned this hybrid model, and I know that in the workshops that I'm teaching right now, there are some communities want us to be there in person, some want to continue offering it on Zoom, and so we just go with the flow. That's what we can do. And right before we started this broadcast, we started talking about working with people with disabilities and the additional challenges of serving and delivering educational programs to them as well. And just like you said, there were some communities and some senior living operators who already had that infrastructure in place. And so they were able to revamp their model and their offering to the residents so much more easily than, say, other ones had. And so I know I experienced that firsthand over the past 2 years, as well as getting a lot of people comfortable with video conferencing, including the telemedicine, which I think has been such a blessing. It's definitely been a silver lining of COVID.
Yeah, and it's amazing because you see, some of the challenges that we've faced for years, especially when you're talking about actually both the aging and the disability communities, it's that, absolutely you need to see, your doctor in person for certain visits, but you also have that visit where it's the 5 minute, yep, you're still okay, just checking in. And when you have to deal with all the transportation and logistical issues that go into a very quick just check-in visit, the fact that things like telehealth can exist and provide some of those solutions are incredible. But then also, some of the more basic checkups and other items along those lines, and we're seeing the constant emergence of new telehealth technologies being rolled out. So yeah, I think it's really incredible, and seeing this opportunity to continue to grow is a big issue that we see moving forward.
I got to tell you, as a parent, I really love telehealth. I think it is a huge time saver. And I know a lot of my clients as well would say the same thing. They don't have to, like you mentioned with the transportation, they don't have to go, wait, be exposed to other viruses or anything like that, just to get their 5 minutes with the doctor,
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I think it's something that we're going to continue to see, emerge as an issue. We're going to see, greater adoption, especially as the various rules and regulations all continue to get worked out in this space. But we see an incredible opportunity for this area, and are continuing to work with our association partners as they deal with people on the Hill and elsewhere with all the regulations and rules around this.
Well, we had a question posed here in the comments, which I love. I'm so very thankful for that. And so Farah would like to know, what new robotics tech do you see on the horizon to help seniors with their activities of daily living?
Yeah, so robotics is an interesting area, especially when you're talking about in the senior living space. There were a few things that we saw this year at CES, one of which we run a contest every year. We call it our Eureka Park Accessibility Contest, but it really is both aging and accessibility, where startups can compete, and we pick 5 every year, and we give them a free booth at CES and a little bit of funding to be there. And one of our winners this year was a company out of Atlanta, Georgia, called Cosmos Robotics, and they've created this assistant that it's designed for kind of the senior living communities, and being able to help kind of do some rounds and be able to, deliver things. It doesn't replace the actual in-person caregiver. And that's a big thing as far as I'm concerned is, the technology is a tool. It's not replacing the people in the system, but it can help augment them, especially as we look at some of the workforce challenges that exist in this space and other areas. So really interesting to see what they were doing. Another one that got a lot of attention from a company called Labrador Systems, and they created a robot that probably doesn't look like what a lot of people envision for a robot, and the fact that it's more, I'd almost call it like a tray table or like a drink table that you might push a cart around or something along those lines. Only it is autonomous and it can move around on its own. But one of the advantages of that is it's set up so, if you have like drinks or medication or things on the kitchen counter, it can go and pick that up and bring it to you. Or, if you're doing the laundry, it can help like lift that laundry basket up to the level where it's then easier for you to be able to load the laundry or take things out, and look at some of those different assistants in that way. And, in that case, we see it more as a, aging in place type technology. But, that's something that we're seeing a lot of different innovations in this space. We'll continue to see kind of the single purpose robotics, whether it's the Roombas and other solutions along those lines that can help with all the chores. Certainly everyone's looking for their Rosie the robot that can do everything for them. I'm still looking for that myself, but it's a constant innovation that we're looking at and seeing new innovators come up with them.
Did you see any robot have the ability to get under a desk, unplug something from an outlet and plug it back in?
I don't know that I saw that one yet, but once you throw that out into the world, I'm sure there's some innovator watching right now that's going to come up with that solution, and we'll see it very soon.
Yeah, the number one tech support tip is turn it off, unplug it, plug it back in, right? Oh boy, I wish I had that technology over the past 2 years while I'm helping people remotely. So, all right, I'll keep my eye out for that. I want to also ask you, where do you find all this new innovation? I'm curious. Are there certain sites, there's certain innovators, there's certain companies or magazines that you read that you constantly go to find new ideas?
Yeah, I'll admit part of this, I'm lucky in the fact that our foundation is tied to the trade association that represents about 2,000 tech companies, everything from the large global brands that everyone recognizes to actually about 80% of their members are small businesses, startups, and it could be that startup in a garage just getting going. It also includes like the installers, so the people who are going to come out and whether they're putting in a high-end audio home theater system for you, or maybe they're putting in some of the technology that can help with aging in place. We see a lot of opportunities through them, and that helps, quite frankly, get me exposed to many of the companies working in this space, whether they're members of CTA or other companies that we work with throughout the year. We also, I spend a lot of time used to be going to different conferences and events. It's been a lot of virtual going to events, although starting to get back out on the road here, and trying to meet with different innovators and talk with others working in this space. And then, I'm always, searching the various tech blogs and places along those lines for things that jump out at me as well. So, and that's where, having the opportunity to engage with you and your coverage of some of the technology going on in this space, that's important for me as well to just hear about it from all different sources.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. And that reminds me of the group on Clubhouse that's been meeting every Thursday and founded by Linda Sherman, the Rethinking Aging Club on Thursdays. And that's where I found a lot of great resources and community on that platform. So if you're not aware of Clubhouse, I want you to give it a try. And this is not a plug for Clubhouse, but this is an opportunity for you to come together with other like-minded individuals in senior living, for instance, and share ideas. But it's entirely an audio platform. So you don't have to be ready for it. You just have to be listening and paying attention and tracking with what the speakers are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I'll admit I was kind of new to Clubhouse when the idea of helping to create that channel and working with the folks at AARP, Michael Phillips and Rick Robinson, and then Linda, Debbie, Elise, and I'm forgetting it, a whole bunch of names, everyone who's been regularly involved there. And that's where we had a chance to meet, is through that Clubhouse event. So I highly encourage, if people are available, it's Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, each week. And there's kind of a different topic each week, but it all relates to various age-related tech. So there's some really exciting opportunities. And it's always interesting because you always get someone new in there and talking about a different type of product or, challenge that they're looking to address.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Every time I enter that Clubhouse, I feel like I'm with my peeps, I'm with my people. So it's very welcoming and it's collaborative as well. So I do recommend it. Now, I want to ask you something that you mentioned earlier. So we talked about robotics for senior living. Besides robotics, what other area of technology and innovation are you thinking that's going to impact senior living?
Yeah, so there's quite a few. One I'll certainly raise is voice assistants, and maybe that's somewhat related to robotics, but we see it really expanding beyond that. We've actually done some work with Front Porch, with their Center for Innovation and Wellbeing, testing out voice assistants in their communities, and really seeing the benefits, because having that different interface available and giving people control over their rooms and their environment, we see some really incredible opportunities through that. We've also done a grant working with the AARP Foundation around using voice assistants to address social isolation and some of the challenges that can come through that. Once again, the technology isn't replacing the people in that social connection, but the technology can be a tool that can help facilitate those connections and help with delivering the services that people need, or just answering the basic questions of what time is a certain activity going on during the day. Being able to quickly get that information through the tool versus having to call down to the front desk or go out if you don't want to go out. Beyond that, I think a lot of the smart home technologies are really incredible in this space. So, whether it is, being able to control your lighting, and even some of the automated solutions. So, if you get up in the middle of the night, some lighting can come up, and maybe it only comes up just a little bit because you don't want to, suddenly be flashed with bright lights everywhere, but, enough that it might help prevent trips and falls in the middle of the night. Or things like smart doorbell solutions. So when someone's at your door, you don't have to rush and run to see who's there. You can see, is this someone I want to let in, or is it someone just dropping a box on my front step or outside my door, and being able to no, I'll get that later and not worry about it as much. So we see some really incredible opportunities in the smart home technology, both for people at home, but also those in senior living communities.
Those are all really good points. And my students ask me all the time, why do they need this? Or why should they use this now? And they don't need it. But here are some things that I do know from talking with my students who are living in senior communities, that when they have control over the devices that are put in their homes, they are then feel more comfortable adopting to it. But when they don't have control and they can't customize it or add skills to that one Alexa device, it really aggravates them. And then, so there's that aspect that you mentioned, the control aspect and the customization, but then also the education around it, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's an incredible piece. And that's where I think what you're doing with Senior Savvy is so important because, yeah, it's one thing for, as a foundation, I can pay for, a bunch of people to get devices. But if you're just dropping devices on someone's, doorstep and saying good luck with it,
Yeah.
they're not going to get used. So being able to create that education around it really is critical to making sure that the products are being used. And then the control is absolutely critical because we see, privacy is a major issue. People don't want to be, on camera all the time and everything. So when you give them control over these devices, it can provide that peace of mind, but they can also know, what information are they sharing, what information are they not comfortable sharing, and they can kind of turn off. So that level of control is really critical as well. And yeah, it's interesting. Every couple years I do this event at the local community center. It's probably one of the hardest speaking events I ever do because it's constant, like, smart thermostat. Why would I possibly want that? And it's like, well, I'm not telling you need that device, but here's where some people see benefits from that. And it's really, but I find it really important because you get that direct feedback from people who are like, yes, this is like sounds like an incredible idea, or someone else is like, nope, never want to touch that, with a 10-foot pole. So you get to kind of balance and really learn, different people have different priorities and different interests, and you see that across the entire age spectrum. And I love hearing that direct from the consumer.
Yeah, I would like to be a fly on the wall for that one. Maybe you can invite me to that one.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the biggest gap between maybe the products and the innovations you see presented and their adoption?
Honestly, I think the biggest gap is awareness. And it's awareness in two ways. It's awareness for those consumers, the older adults, their families, caregivers, just knowing what's out there, what's available. And that's something we've actually been doing, having a lot of talk with some of the retail members of CTA to help them better understand how to reach their older customers, and looking at ways to help create that awareness, but also working through various news sources and others to help people find what are the right products for them. We've also done some grants with organizations that can help people get hands-on with different types of technologies. So it was a little easier pre-pandemic than it's been during the pandemic, but some of these devices, there is a cost to them. So if you can get people a chance to experience it firsthand first and figure out, is this something I'm interested in before they go out and purchase something, that's something that's absolutely critical. But the other piece of that awareness is the companies. The companies don't always know the opportunity to address the aging market, and understand that, this is by building products that work well for older adults, they're reaching a new customer base that can be a really incredible customer base. And being able to share that, I mean, I'm coming at it from the charitable side of the world. My business is not a matter of selling any particular technology products, but looking at helping these companies understand that there's a business opportunity for them. Now, there is poverty and other issues along those lines, and that's where, as a foundation, we can kind of step in and help people be able to get access to some of the products as well. But I think it's really that awareness, and that's something that we spend a lot of time trying to make sure both sides are aware of both the challenges and the opportunities that exist in this space.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I think awareness is paramount. And what I've found in the past couple of years of even trying to hire people and or market to my to senior living communities is that there's really a lack of awareness that older adults want to, and they're excited about using technology, and they just need to be aware that it exists and how they can implement it. It's sort of like there's a barrier of the the understanding that that is actually occurring. There are a lot of people who just are not targeting or working towards helping older adults, and they're instead just think that they're not relevant to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the stereotype is out there that, older adults don't use technology. And, based on all of our research, that's not necessarily true. Yes, there are late adopters in the aging population. There's also early adopters in the aging population. When I first started in this position, was going around and meeting a variety of people, I remember meeting a gentleman at a senior community, and, he let me know, he's like, just don't ever make the assumption that I don't know technology, because he was an engineer and he made it very clear he built all the technology today's technology is based off of. So, and he stayed amazingly up on everything going on. So, it's understanding that it's a very diverse community, and some people are very interested in some technology, others aren't. But you look at the younger population, and there's some technologies people are interested in, some technologies they're not. So really understanding that and helping get across that message is a critical thing.
Absolutely. Everyone's coming from a different place. I know for me, I always try to approach it as if this may be the first time that you're actually receiving an education about this technology. So let me introduce you to what you've had as your phone for the past 5 years, maybe. So yeah, everyone's coming at it very differently. And even if you are completely educated in technology, like you said, everything changes so frequently. So just staying up to speed on that. Okay, I've got one more kind of fun question. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're a geek, and I appreciate that. When you get something new in the mail, do you just tear it open and put it to use, or are you a read the instructions kind of person?
Oh, I should say I read the instructions, but I don't read the instructions very often. So yeah, I'm one who, that's the try it out, figure it out, and only at the last resort, when I can't figure it out, then I either read the instruction manual or Google it to try to figure out what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, I tend to. That's a bad habit of mine, of diving in first and foremost. Yeah.
Me too. I start diving in, and then I think, oh, come on, just, read the instructions, Yep, I do the same thing. I think it's just confidence and eagerness, right, to get it to work. Yep.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Tech Tuesday. It's been a joy to speak with you, and so many revelations as well. I even took down notes of things I want to look up after we stop talking. And I want to go ahead and invite you all to join the Evolve conference. It's starting next week. If you have any questions about it, head to the seniorlivingforesight.net website and register. It's a huge bonus to be able to join these conferences virtually, especially if you're just in the trenches and you can't get away, or you're a working mom like me. We've been able to make these conferences available to you because they are virtual, and this one is delivered in short segments, so you're not going to get locked in for the whole day. And Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to go ahead and play the outro that you all have developed for me. Oh, you're so welcome. And I'll see you again here next week.